Now there is one single mistake that gives all recreational golfers I see extreme inconsistency, chunks and thin shots. I have a little station set up here, and if I do this mistake, I'm gonna end up hitting this towel and getting a lot of chunks and thins. There we go. So we can see that would have been a big time chunk. The ball just kind of dribbles out there. It makes you want to take your club and just snap it into 1,000 little pieces. It's so frustrating chunking one. And then once you hit a couple of those chunks, we do the same motion with a little bit of adjustment. We start to stand up out of our posture slightly so we don't hit as much ground, and then we thin one, and it's even worse, right? So let's talk about how we set this up and how this one drill can give you a ton of consistency. What I've done here is I've rolled a towel in half. I'll just set this on the ground like that. I don't want it to be too high there, so just rolling a thin towel like this. This is kind of the kind of towel they usually put in the back of your golf or in your golf cart when you play around. So this is nice because you can use it the same drill the way I have it set up here at most golf courses. Now I'm going to put this golf ball about 5 to 6 inches in front of that towel. You see, pros are having their club come down. It would miss this towel. My weight is getting to my left. I'm driving some pressure into my left foot and my left knee, and I'm hitting down on this golf ball slightly. So I'd be missing this towel, hitting the ground and the golf ball roughly at the same time, and then the bottom of my divot would be about 4 inches in front of the golf ball. So I kind of mark that with this T. If you're doing this on turf, I should see that exact same thing. I should see missing the towel, hitting the golf ball, a divot from the front of the golf ball all the way up through here, and that would be what the pros are doing. So let's go ahead and take a look at the wrong way to doing this, what I just showed. Most players, what ends up happening is we throw the club to release the club with our arms. This means that the club shaft will be straight up and down at impact, and my arms will be releasing at my body. Now you can tell you're doing this if you tend to stand up out of your posture. So if in the downswing, your hips move toward the golf ball and your upper body goes back away from the golf ball, you're doing this move that I'm talking about. Now the problem with that is that puts your low point slightly behind the golf ball because I'm throwing at the golf ball, my club gets straight up and down just behind the golf ball. So if I imagine this is a hula hoop, this is the arc of my swing. So my club comes down and then goes back up. The low point would be just behind the golf ball like that. Now that low point would be the bottom of your divot. Remember I said pros have the bottom of their divot at this tee up here, 4 inches in front. We're having our divot back here slightly behind the golf ball. So that means that if I hit down and take a divot, this would be the bottom of my divot and it would be a massive chunk like we saw in the last one. I would be hitting this towel when that's happening. Now you say, okay, I don't like chunking it. That's a pain in the butt. I don't want to do that again. So now we start to raise up out of that shot slightly, and all we're doing is pulling our hula hoop higher. So the bottom of the divot is still behind it, but now we're missing the ground and we're going to thin the ball most times. Now if I have the ball setting up in a little bit of grass, I can go ahead and make that higher like that. I can hit some grass behind the golf ball and still hit it fairly clean, but the problem is the lie has to be perfect. Anytime we're not on a perfect lie, it's a disaster. So all of these inconsistencies are coming from having that low point behind, and then we adjust it up, we thin it. We adjust it down, we chunk it. Up, down, very inconsistent. I have to get the low point of my swing up here like the pros have it, 4 inches in front of that golf ball. That has to be the low point of my swing. That's exactly what we're going to do in this drill. So step one, towel rolled over once. It's a thin towel. If you have a thicker towel, just put it in there once, or don't even roll it over. 4 to 6 inches, or 5 to 6 inches behind the golf ball. The width of a club head is about 4 inches, most club heads. Now the first move we're going to do here is I'm going to start to shift my weight to the left as I'm still making a backswing. So we're going to do a little practice swing like this. Go to here, and then I want you to feel like you get your weight to the left and then swing down. That looks like this. As I make my backswing, I'm going to go to about right here. I'm going to let my left knee kick out like that. So if I have an arrow shooting out of my knee, it's starting to get some pressure in my left knee, and my left knee is turned out. It doesn't look like this. On my downswing, if my knee's like that, I'm not going to be able to get my weight on the left. I want to kick that leg out to start my downswing, put pressure in the left leg, and then I swing through. So we're going to make a few small swings doing that, and then we're going to build from there. So this is a little half swing, probably only going to hit it barely over 100 yards. Yeah, just a little small swing. It's showing it fast on the screen today. I have no idea why that's happening. I actually had pretty good club head speed there, even though I don't feel like I was swinging very hard. And with a 6-iron, that still went 188 yards. So to me, that felt like I was barely swinging, but because my technique was good, I had a lot of speed, and I was able to contact that ball fairly solidly. That's piece number one. Get the knee out, weight left, then you swing down. I don't want to throw my weight back as I'm swinging down. Weight goes left first, that's the first move. Weight's left, then I make my downswing. Now, piece number two, I'm going to go ahead and let my right leg kick forward. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to let my kneecap come toward, imagine there was a ball about a foot in front of the golf ball that I'm hitting. My kneecap goes toward that golf ball. So here's how we're going to do this. Little back swing, shift left. As I swing down, that kneecap goes toward that golf ball, and then I hit the golf ball here. So we're going to practice it like this. Make a little back swing. Get your weight left as your left arm's about parallel with the ground. Pause there. Go to impact and let this knee kick forward like that. Your heel should be coming up off the ground, and that's going to get it to where you can hit down and through this golf ball. Now, if you want to go a little fancier than that, we can get rid of the towel, and we can put down what's called the speed trap by Eyeline Golf. I do get a little commission if you buy, somewhere on this page you'll see a link to this. If you don't have to buy this, just use the towel if you want to. But if you want to get nicer than that, use this speed trap. On here, there's 3 marks, a chipping, a pitching, and a full swing. I actually have found the pros are more along the lines of this red chipping one. So put the golf ball where that red line is there. And now that's at 4 to 6 inches, or 5 to 6 inches behind it is where this plexiglass stands there. So I'm going to go ahead and get my weight left. My knee kicks forward. I'm doing these practice reps to feel where that is, and then I'm letting my arms go long through the shot. So let me go ahead and try to make a little half swing again, doing that drill. There we go. Hit that one fantastic. 200 yards total distance. Again, that's after roll, but man, that felt really solid, and I missed this board. If I start to do this stand up and fall back, you can hear it hit this board. Right, I hit a big thud on there. I actually can see a little bit of area here where it's scuffed up right there just behind the golf ball, and I know my low point is way too far back. Now finally, there's one drill that really brings this home, and I found a lot of people have a tough time getting off that right foot. If you're having your divot too far back, you're oftentimes falling on that right foot, and all the pressure's on the right foot in the downswing. What we're going to do for that is go ahead and bring this towel out again. Again, you can do all this with the towel. You don't even have to have this speed trap here, but it makes it a little bit easier to not have to move the towel around every time. But I'm going to roll this towel up a few times, get it nice and thick like this, and I'm going to put it under the outside of my right toe. So what I'm trying to do here is on my backswing, I'm going to load into that, and then I'm going to push off of that in my downswing. Get my weight going to the left. What I don't want to have happen is if you're looking at my right foot, I don't want to sway to the outside of that, get this reverse pivot, and then I stand up and throw it rather than getting to the left. If I do this motion, it's almost impossible to get back to the left and hit down and through. So this towel under my right foot like that is going to help me to push off of it, and I never roll to the outside of my foot. When I'm setting up like this with this towel, it feels like it's almost impossible that I could hit this plexiglass back there. It feels like I'm going to have to get that divot down and through the golf ball. There we go, and hit that one great. Right down the middle, 210. Now, there is one main problem here. What I mentioned there is releasing the club at the golf ball. And that's the big issue. If we don't fix that, none of these drills are going to work. Everything stemmed from that one problem. So one thing that people do, and why we do this, is we try to square up the face that way. So in my downswing, this face is open to the target. It would be kind of facing out to the camera towards you. And to square that up, what's most common is people will throw their arms and square up the face like this. So now the face is square, but I'm clipping that plastic behind this golf ball. That's one way of squaring up the face. That's what I call the roll method. And if you do it that way, it's going to be pretty daggone tough to get the divot in front. Well, I have a video for you called the anti-roll method. I'm going to tell you how to square it up just like the pros are doing. So instead of throwing my arms to square it up and getting that divot back here, I'm now going to use my wrist and hands in a very specific way to get my club face to square up. Now the leading edge is square with contact, but the shaft is leaning in forward. My weight is on my left side, my right heel is coming off the ground. That's a totally different way to square up the club face. I'm going to play a preview of a video here in just 1 second that's going to walk you through the anti-roll method and the right way to square it up, just like every tour pro you see, and I can't wait to share it with you. Just go ahead and click the card that pops up on the screen somewhere. If you don't see one of those cards, don't worry. Go ahead and click the link down below in the description. You'll get instant access to that video. I can't wait to share with you the anti-roll method. Let's get started right now. So here's the bottom line. If you've been taught to roll the club in the early downswing, that causes the shaft to get steep. And that steep club causes all your problems. It causes you to hit it way behind the big hitters and way inconsistent with your quality of strikes. So you're in the tall grass and the trees and the hazards all day long. Now the great news is this. There's really only 2 pieces that you need to know to fix all these problems. The first one is we need to learn the proper way to square up the club face. Instead of rolling the forearms and getting steep, there's another way that the pros do this. Once you learn this right way to square up the club face, then you can shallow out from the inside and everything starts to fit together. Now I'm going to teach you this right now in what I call the anti-roll method. You may also hear this called the motorcycle move or the tour twist, but let's walk through exactly how to do that. Now what I want you to do is go ahead and go kind of in the last parallel in the downswing. So here, I want my hips to go ahead and be opening up. I want my club to be parallel with the ground, and I want my hands to be in front of my right thigh. Now when I take my grip, you're going to notice that when I do this, the club face is basically straight up and down. So if I'm looking at it from this angle, you'll see the face is straight up and down, and my logo of my glove is pointed out in front of me. Now from there,